Hello and welcome to the Blackout, where I get to talk to amazing people who do amazing things. And today, my friend, brother, awesome artist, amazing human being, Keonté Beals is back on the show. Thanks for coming to the Blackout.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Dude, you've been busy, man.
I've been trying over
I'm
here.
like, we need to talk. I'm like, I'm here. Okay, first off, I want to say, I love how you have all these kind of like mini documentaries
Yeah.
of your like trips or stuff. Why did you decide to do that?
Yeah, so that was honestly something a little bit fun for me. As you know, I've been getting into the world of books and things of that nature. And for me, I actually write a journal, not every single day, but it's more on a weekly basis. So I thought it'd be cool like to kind of create a visual journal. And it actually started out me just doing that for myself and keeping the videos. And then eventually I started to put them together for Instagram. So it was pretty cool, to kind of, I guess, take people on some of the journeys that I was
Oh my
in.
God, I love it. And yeah, one of the things I love the most is that you're always cooking in them.
And that is actually one of my favorite things to do. I look at cooking videos and things like that all day long. So
Yeah, I'm like, okay, and then I wake up and then I cook for my brother. I'm like, there's always a cooking thing to it.
Yeah.
Where the cooking thing, how did that come about?
I don't know.
Because I love food. I can't cook I can boil water though. Like I'm
boil water. Oh my
I'm
God.
very good at that.
I don't know. I love to eat too. So I feel like that's where it came from. But my mom is a great cook, and so are both of my grandmothers. So yeah, I guess it kind of stemmed from there, just wanting to learn, being curious about how they did it, how the magic that was on the plate, right? Yeah.
And do you have like favorite things to cook?
Oh, not really. I'm pretty experimental when it comes to cooking, but I do like to cook like soul food. Yeah.
So you mentioned you're into writing now. Let's talk about this book you did with your brother.
Sure.
Perfectly Me.
Yeah.
I'm Perfectly Me.
That's right.
Yeah, like, you know what? One thing I have to say about you is that your timing is impeccable. Like, I don't know how your things almost always drop at just the right time. Because, like, everything was happening. And it kind of boiled down to, like, okay, you see yourself, like, on the screen, with Black Panther, and then the internet, like your book came out a couple of months ago, and then like the internet ran crazy because Disney is now having a Black mermaid and stuff, and you're like, then you see this video on Instagram of Black kids seeing this mermaid. I'm like, and like your book makes total sense because that's kind of what you want to see,
Yeah.
Like, so what was the process of making this book, and why did you decide to make it?
Yeah, so we made that book maybe about, oh my goodness, like 3 years, 3 years ago now. Ooh. But I did it with my younger brother, Antonio Beals. I can remember going to Truro. We were going for a festival up there, and I was with my manager, Tamar, who's a good friend of mine and mentor as well. And she was like, Key, what did you ever think about, creating a children's book? You write all the time, you tell stories in that way, and you've mentioned to me that you did that when you were younger. And I said, you know what, that'd be pretty cool. So I went home, I started brainstorming a little bit. I actually started off creating the characters first. And so when we looked at the characters, they were all different. Naturally, though, I didn't intentionally mean to do that. And so the story just kind of pieced together, and it became this, I guess, project of representation and what that means and how important it is, and for the kids to kind of see just how beautiful they are just being themselves. Yeah.
No, it's true. Because, like, I mean, I'm on social media a lot. And you kind of see this thing where people try to either paint themselves in a different light. And you realize that it started because they didn't see positive representations of themselves,
That's
right?
right.
So like when you're watching a TV and the biggest stars don't look like you,
Mm-hmm.
or people you aspire to don't look like you. It kind of makes you feel like, I guess, negative about yourself. So when you show that, look, as you're like that with your curly hair and your big hair and stuff, you are perfect.
That's right.
It's a very, very powerful message.
It's super powerful. I wish I could have opened the book when I was younger and just seeing myself in the book. I think it would have went a long way for me. And even though I had people, positive role models and things around me, I think just opening a book or seeing, somebody who looked like me just being highlighted would have went a long way for me.
So there's a thing now. I mean, everyone knows you're this super talented artist. You're making this thing. And you're like, okay, I'm going to be an author now. I know you had Tayman, and like you're working with your brother and, creating the characters. But like, walk us from this discussion to actually having the book in your hand. What happened between then?
Yeah, so a lot of work. It was a lot of work. It was pretty much almost 2 years in the making. But we actually, I colored the pictures on like my
Holy
iPhone,
smoke.
on my iPhone. So, just pencil to paper. But so it was an interesting process. A lot of hard work went into it, more than people probably will know or ever really know. But it's pretty cool. Like just even, I guess, because I feel like, especially even in King, I feel like my message has been faith, dreaming, and representation. Just kind of being yourself. So, yeah, that whole, I guess, that whole period in time there was like a perfect example of that, of who I am, I guess.
So the first time we kind of chat on the show, it was like, just talking in general. We didn't
Sure.
talk about this body of work called King. King has done, it's nuts, it's crazy. So now that I finally had you after all your traveling and stuff, let's talk about King. Like, what was this whole process of creating our project?
Yeah, so world went on lockdown from the pandemic. We went into hibernating, I guess, lockdown, aka lockdown. And I can remember I was working on the album for forever. I'm always working on something on the album. And I was getting it produced by somebody else. And I can remember being home and being like, yeah, well, let me try. How about I try something? And I always created demos, loved the process. I tried it. I took my shot at it, and King was created. And, that gave me a little bit of, I guess, confidence that I could actually do this once the video, came out and people really enjoyed it. And I went and created the whole album. It was, I think, for me, a moment of being empowered too, like self-empowerment, because I didn't believe that I could do something like that. Like I felt like
Okay, I'm sorry, but that's insane to hear, actually. Because, like, when you're from the outside looking at your body of work, it's like, this guy can pretty much do anything. I remember the very first time I saw you was like years ago, and it was at a talk at the tire shop.
Sure.
And yeah, I was like, oh my, there's something there. So when you're saying this, it's like, what? Like, what is behind that self-doubt?
I don't know. I feel like it's humility. In some cases, I feel like it's part of when you're just a humble person. You don't look at yourself in the way that others do, and that's not something that you try to do. Most people who I have encountered who are like that, they don't try to do it. It's just kind of them. I feel like I'm that way. Like I look at myself completely different. I doubt myself
It's like,
a lot
dude!
before doing things. I doubt myself a lot. It's like, oh, this may come out. But I think it's just the fact that even though I doubt myself, I still continue to do it.
That is what I was gonna say, because something I have to say that I can't speak for everyone, but a lot of people usually see the video, the performing with the symphony.
Yeah.
I have been lucky enough to kind of see the backstage, and like, this guy is walking his behind off. Like, even those little videos you put on Instagram, I'm like, that is a lot of work. Like,
It is.
that is a lot of work. So everything, every type of accolade, every award you get, I just say, man, you deserve it, because the amount of work
appreciate
you
that.
put in what you're doing is mind blowing. That is how it feels like to me. And just, kind of from seeing from the back end of it, and like, I thought honestly, I'm lazy. So when I thought you were gonna say, oh, I had these artists draw the characters in the book, and now I'm finding out now you actually painted them on your phone. Is man,
Yeah, I drew them, sketched out,
yo, dude. So
pencil
so
paper.
now like with King, you have this project done, the video for King, the song itself.
Sure.
I freaking love that song. Played on my radio
Thank you.
show every couple of weeks. What was
Appreciate
the
it.
idea? Like, how did that idea come about?
For King,
The
the
video.
video?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one was interesting. There's like some that's probably one of my favorite projects, honestly, to work on. Is because of the imagery that we got to put inside of the video. Like, I feel like for me, it was the first time I actually creatively got to be free and put, everything that was in my mind into the video, as well as Kiki, who did an amazing job as well. But together we kind of worked on it, and we had like this idea of, I guess me being there in the video, but then having this almost like entity in the video who's kind of telling the story. Who's kind of telling me, these are the things that you have to do in order to be a man, a black man, especially. And you just have to follow suit because that's what it is for you. And then finding, hope in the ending of the song through the singing and the melody and seeing the black men, be involved inside this video. It was honestly really, really empowering for me too, to be able to get my vision out there in that way. It's never happened before for me.
Yo, like, and you had a ton of people in that video.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that is another thing where I say you put in a lot of work, because these are people, like, getting them is difficult, and then trying to get them to do this thing. And so like the process of shooting that video, how long did it take to make? Because I can't even imagine.
So, from start to finish, you know what? The process wasn't actually shooting it, we probably shot for 2 days. And it wasn't even 2 full days, but 2 days of shooting. And then probably 3, 4, 5 days of editing. And leading up to is where it was more time getting people's, videos and stuff, and making sure like the details. I'm someone who focused a lot on details. The details of the video was correct, and the vision that I saw in my head, and Kiki kind of came in, took it home for me.
So I did it. I put the cart before the horse, talking about the video first, but like I wanted to do that because the song is actually the foundation. So let's talk about the song itself. Why did you decide to write that?
Yeah, so the story goes, as the story goes, I was on my way home from grocery shopping for food because going home to cook. And I can remember this was around the time where George Floyd, and that whole thing was happening. And I was just feeling real, real angry. Honestly, really, really angry. I got home. I didn't end up cooking because I was that flustered. Sat down behind the piano, and I just started playing these chords, and the cadence just honestly started coming just like that. Probably wrote the song in like 10 to 15 minutes. It's the quickest ever I've ever done.
Wow.
And I made a demo right after that. It all almost happened in that one day. I made a demo right after that, and I sent it to a few trusted people, and they had some good things to say and some things that I could fix as well. But it was like I guess a moment of feeling almost captured, in this moment where we are, feeling like caged birds, like eventually it's like everyone now is singing because everyone is upset, about the things that are going on. And I can remember just feeling, that way for my whole life, feeling unseen, even though you're everywhere, feeling unheard, even though you're everywhere. So yeah, all that emotion just kind of came.
Yo, powerful song.
Thank
Okay,
you.
and then another thing that came out from that album was Vodka and Me.
Woo! Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about Vodka and Me, and then obviously had a video, but it also had merch too.
I did.
Like, walk me through the whole thing.
So Vodka and Me, right? So yeah, Vodka and Me just stems from obviously vodka and me. But a night of having a disagreement with a significant other, and kind of leaning on alcohol rather than the conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like anyone who is a drinker out there, we all know what I'm talking. You feel me?
Exactly.
So it just kind of stemmed from that, and having I guess the thought process of, yeah, forget that. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna have this alcohol. I'm gonna dance and stuff, and then maybe I'll come to this later on. Maybe I won't. So yeah, the song just kind of stemmed from there, and I can remember recording it, and it was real. It wasn't. It had like 3 different demos for Vodka and Me, because it just wasn't aggressive enough for me. Like it wasn't capturing the moment that, like, the way I felt.
Yeah.
So I redid that song maybe like 4 times.
Oh my God.
Before it became the Vodka and Me that it is today.
Yeah. And the merch, why did you decide to do merch for that one?
Yeah, there was a lot of merch. I'm always working on that type of thing in my head. And I had merch for King. It just didn't come out. I felt like it was too late. I feel like it was too late. And then we released Vodka and Me, the second single from the album. To me, it just felt like the time. And I didn't want it to just be any old, merch release. I wanted to treat it like it was a clothing line that I was launching. And so a lot of people, even today, they're like, is your clothing line still, are you still?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, there's no clothing line, but, so I just want to do kind of marketing in that way too. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's freaking cool. I loved it.
Thank you.
But another thing I wanted to touch, and we have the keyboard here, so hopefully you play something. But another thing I wanted to touch was, I remember, I think I saw, it's weird because you actually do stuff on LinkedIn. Like,
I do.
Who is that artist on LinkedIn? You expect like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, but like LinkedIn. Actually, before I continue, what is the story behind LinkedIn? You expect like office people and bankers.
That's right.
What's up with that?
Yeah, so exactly what you just said. Like I feel like when you go on LinkedIn, you see, all those things, and the business and, the real, I guess, technical side of business, which I love. I love business in general. But I thought, like for me, business is a little bit different. Like for me, like I get to dress like an artist. Like I get to be creative and out there and, almost push the envelope a little bit, and kind of do like my own thing. Like that's a privilege I get as an artist. So why not like try and see what happens on LinkedIn, if I tell my story in a different way on LinkedIn instead of the way that I see other folks doing it. And so I've been trying a little bit of things, and
it's working, because like I brought up the LinkedIn thing because that's where I actually first saw the video for you and the symphony performing.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk about how did that one happen, because I think some of my best artists, right, their performances is when they just bring a symphony behind it. And the irony of it is like listening to a symphony alone is not my kind of vibe. Sure. But when you put like an artist I love and they're playing with like instruments behind it, I'm like, holy shit, like, that's a concert I'd watch. So how did that happen?
Yeah, so oh my goodness, that took maybe about almost 2 years in the making of planning and making sure everyone was on board. But when we finally got like the gears rolling, it was probably like a couple months before we did that concert. And they set me up with a few different composers around Canada, all around Canada. And we composed each song, one by one. We started out with me and my music director at the time, Sean Downey, who we both arranged together the music. And the symphony just kind of came in and put everything behind it, After we reached out to and had conversation with the composers, they put some beautiful, beautiful pieces together. And they're just like, they would send stuff like, do you approve of this? Do you love that? And it's just like crazy for me, because this is an album that I created in my room during quarantine. And now we have composers all over Canada, coming behind it to work. We have a whole symphony who's about to be playing all this music on stage. Yeah. And then, push come to shove, later on, the concert sells out and we have a great time.
Game Boss says, right? Okay, so, I love King, but my song on the album is Friends.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
partial. I'm partial to that song, but the performance of Friends on that show blew my mind.
Thank you.
Oh my god! And the guy on the guitar, like there was like
Yeah,
a different guy.
Christianity.
Oh my god! Oh my god! And then like I don't really like my instrument is the strings. Like I don't know, like I just love how they sound.
Yeah.
I don't really like woodwind. Like I don't like. I mean, trumpets is okay, fine, but
Sure.
the flutes in Friends.
Super
Oh
beautiful.
my god!
They're super beautiful.
Yeah, no, man. Like, so now, like, on YouTube, you can kind of save the number. So whenever I'm sharing that video with anybody, it starts on where the friends is. Now I'm like, it's gonna start here, but you should actually go back to the beginning.
That one was you know what, we made like a last minute call about Friends too that day of the concert. And we're just like, we had like some tracks and it was a little bit more forward track and some digital stuff going on. It's just like, you know what, like how about we just cut all that out and we just lead with the guitar, let the symphony follow the guitar, no tempo, no nothing, and see how it goes, how authentic it feels. And we did it, and it was interesting.
Killed it. I watch that thing. It's like really inspirational. Like whenever I write, I listen to music, and like sometimes, when I just want to get in the zone, I listen to that. Well, like I love the one on the album. Obviously, I play it every week, but that one for like on that performance, like oh my god, and it's kind of crazy because I kind of always make fun of those people. Like they get to read that. Do you know this amount of skill to read that?
Oh my
thing?
Goodness, yeah.
And then
absolutely
you're like in front. And so how was that experience for you though?
The experience was awesome. I can remember someone, not gonna name their names, but someone, they're good. They were just warning, and they were just like, the symphony is this is like their job, like 9 to 5 for them. So they come, they show up, they do what they got to do. Lunch break hits, you'll see them, they're gone. Like, and he's like, don't be afraid. Like sometimes their faces look a little bit uninterested. Like this is a job for them. So they come, and I'm just like, all right, I don't know what to expect. So we come in now, me and the band from when they're finished, kind of getting their things together. And I come in and they're all clapping and standing up. They're just like, woo. And they're excited the whole time. Like they're smiling, laughing, having a good time. I'm like, so you definitely gave me the wrong impression here because I was not expecting that. But the rehearsals, like, were strenuous. Like by the time we got to the show, I was super nervous about my voice, but the rehearsals were something else. Like, they were long. It was like 2 days straight, pretty much. 2-3 days straight.
No, but honestly, that's what I try to say, that, people always see the finished product. They don't see the, the raw materials and the mixing and all that stuff before we put it in front of people. So like, I remember watching that thing and thinking, oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. Whoever that guitarist is, salute.
Yeah,
salute.
my guy, Chris.
And like, but then King, again, King I love, like, but the King you played on that thing is like, man, that arrangement was, God, it was sick.
Yeah, he did it. It was a good job. Like we found a way to amp it up too in the end for it to grow differently than what we did previously. But so yeah, it was cool. I appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
No, that was an amazing experience. It's one of those things that you kind of want to see live, But like having access to this video, I watch it a lot.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I watch it a lot. So you talked about business and LinkedIn, So let's talk about KB Entertainment.
Sure.
What's happening there?
Yeah, so KBeals Entertainment is basically my dream company. It's something that I've wanted since I was younger. My grandmother was an entrepreneur. She did pretty much everything from baking to quilts to candy store that we used to steal from. Because she wouldn't give us any freebies. But yeah, so she pretty much did everything. So I grew up in the house with her until I was about 9. My great-grandmother. What a privilege. But so, just kind of living there and seeing her be a hustler, I guess that clearly instilled something in me. So that's been something that I've wanted for forever. And when the pandemic happened, we all went into lockdown. I finally got the opportunity to kind of relax, sit back, and start the company. So I launched it, and since then, it kind of changed my life. Kind of took over in a way that I didn't expect for it to as quickly as it did. But I'm grateful for it. Like I wouldn't. It's the dream.
One thing, I said I'm going to ask, and I'm glad because I forgot, but I'm glad he jumped when you mentioned this, is how do you select your team? Because, I mean, I know like with the symphony, you can't select who is playing what, but you can, select who is doing your arrangement, you can select who's doing your music director, you can select who you make, at least your core team.
Yeah.
What is your process of choosing the people that are in that circle?
Yeah, I think I've been almost, I guess, almost privileged in a position where I am just surrounded by people who are good people in general. Um, and so a lot of the folks who are on my team today um, have come from other folks who are already around me as good people. So like stating folks like Sean Downey, Uncle Sean, and him, kind of gravitating and seeing Tamar and Tamar coming in, who is management, and then Christine Eddie, my guitar player, same thing with an engineer, same thing with him. So it's kind of like folks just kind of gravitate. I gravitate, I guess, to people who have good spirits, good energy. For me, I can't really focus around folks who have selfish energy and energy of, just self in general. So for me, it's all about that. It's all about people who are willing to push the envelope because I'm that guy, and people who are creative and who have a vision and a goal. And for me, even when, especially building the company team now, it's been even more, man, like fulfilling for me because I get the chance to work with people who are in a space where they're growing, and I acknowledge those things. Like, this may be a stepping stone for you. You may be coming from college or whatever the case may be, and this is a stepping stone for you. Like, I'm grateful to be able to be that. And you go on, you grow. Like, I'm not here to lock you down to the company. I want to see you grow, and I hope that you have a vision that's bigger than me, than in anything that I'm doing, for sure.
Wow, man, you have an amazing, outlook at things. But one thing is that, it's kind of like the sun and the planets. You are this. I know you don't like all these things,
Oh
but no, but it's
no!
true. But you are the sun now. You
Oh
have all
no!
these planets revolving around you. How do you handle that responsibility, though?
You know what? I don't. I don't even think about it that way. I don't think about how I handle those responsibilities. I think for me, the main thing that I think about is how I handle myself in general. How do I take care of myself when I'm feeling, a way? Just continuing to show up for myself and do the work. As far as mental health goes, as far as showing up on time, being professional. So a lot of it doesn't even have to do with anything around me. It has to do with the core of just me making sure I'm staying true to myself, making sure I'm not, sacrificing the core values that I have to entice or please other people. So for me, that's the main thing, man. I don't even think about it. If I think about it in that way, it becomes pressure, and I don't appreciate pressure.
So it's like,
I don't
if I'm
appreciate
okay,
pressure.
everything will figure itself out, type of
It
thing.
always does, man. And I'm a man of faith, and I believe that God does, all things right and intentionally. So
Okay, I'm gonna let you go and hopefully play something. But before I go, like, what's in the works now? Like, are we expect? Is there a new album, new book? What's up?
all of the above. I mean, yeah, there's always so many things going on. 2023, it's gonna be a cool year. I kind of took a break too from touring and stuff, but we're back and we're gonna be better than ever. And yeah, I'm excited. 2023.
Man, thanks so much, Keonte.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Keonte Beals, and this is my song, Friends. could have known if you would have just expressed your feelings. Baby, we're grown. I expect nothing less than you keeping it real. And what's going on? Are you having second thoughts about us? No, it ain't been long, no. For me, you're enough. 'Cause I couldn't read between the lines. Maybe things would get better over time. 'Cause I was just hoping we could be more than friends. Oh, no, 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 no. Can we still be friends? Oh. See, I can't agree. Things were moving way too fast. If it was up to me, I would say we were meant to be. 'Cause I couldn't read between the lines. Things could get better over time. I was just hoping we could be more than friends. Whoa. No, 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 no. Can we still be friends? Oh, I say, oh, no, 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 no. No,